Good afternoon, viewers of Free Enterprise, new and old, and welcome to our final match of the Highway to the Zemus Zone 2019. I am bakashinobi, and I'm joined by Tirasu. How are you today, Tirasu?
I'm doing really well. I am super excited for this match and glad to be able to be a part of it.
Me too. This is going to be a great one. We have Invenerable, who has been moving through Group Golbez, EizanTayama, captain of Group Golbez, Penguin8r, coming back from almost being knocked out to getting into this final match, and eLmaGus, last year's returning champion. I don't know what seed we're going to get today, but it looks like it's going to be a good one no matter what.
We do have that Sid start, so that's always nice for that early game. Good hit points and pretty solid damage to get through it.
Yeah, even if we get a hook seed, I don't think we're going to be blocked by something like Dark Knight Cecil for too long with Sid. We'll probably have a very quick early game and then be moving into the mid and late games pretty an accelerated pace, though. We'll have to see who our partner is. We may have a struggle in the mid and late game with just Sid.
Yeah, Sid great for that early game, but in the mid and late game, he starts falling off, especially damage-wise, though he does have a really nice HP pool.
Indeed, he can go and soak hits like nobody's business for this team, and looks like we're off. Let's see how this seed starts.
That's a Quack Kid. That's going to be really nice for that mid and late game. And a white shirt.
Yeah, this is looking a solid team. I would not be sad taking this team to Zeromus, to be entirely honest. This is Palom with his spells will go and do a lot of damage. I consider Palom strong enough to go and take out Zeromus with just a little bit of support. And Sid, with that massive HP pool, could really provide it.
This is very true. Sid in the Z fight can be a great chemist, but we don't really know what's going to be at that first spot in Baron with just a little twinkle, a moon boss.
That's going to be a bit exciting. That's something that's going to weigh on minds, as it could be Wyvern, it could go and be Plague, it be anything. And Invenerable deciding not to go to Baron, just going straight to Damsian, along with EizanTayama, Penguin8r and eLmaGus choosing to go and loot Baron.
And it looks like they picked up a samurai bow in Baron. That's going to be really nice for Sid. And we also see Mom Bomb guarding a Tella.
Mom Bombs have been annoying there because you can't just kill her. She's going to go and do her exploding script unless you have extraordinarily high damage, because Mom Bomb gets an additional 10,000 HP to go through and blow herself up. Not really going to be getting through that 10,000 HP if you're doing it this early level. So this will be interesting to see how they go and root in Baron N, because Tella could be helpful, could be incredibly helpful, but could also not be very tempting to our runners.
Tella has his uses, especially if you can find like an early darkness crystal and something you want to slingshot. But Tella in and of himself, not the greatest character. Very low HP, stuck at 90 MP unless you can get a Soma drop, and doesn't get, some of the best spells you would really want.
Yeah, and even his normal spell pool, while he starts with Blink, Charm, and a few other helpful spells, he needs to do Ordeals in order to get the real value out of him. And the Ordeals is 3 boss checks. That's not really something you want to do. He gives you a key item as well, but that's a fair bit of time commitment. We see Inven and EizanTayama going straight into Antlion, getting looting, seeing if they can find some stuff. I don't think they're going to need too much to get through this early boss with Sid.
No, probably they're just looking for more so things to sell as well. A little bit of gear to get through the seed. And we also see Penguin and eLmaGus taking the Damsian checks now, probably head straight to Antlion afterward.
Yeah, as you said, looking for money is going to be pretty helpful. Bandana is going to be pretty nice for Sid. He doesn't get great strength growth, so any strength boosting items you can find will be helpful. And we do want a lot of money. We like to go shopping in item shops. There are a lot of great things to find in there that really eat into your wallet, so you'll want to go and get some good financing through this.
Oh, we have some vanilla on Penguin's side. Octomam in the waterfall cave.
Looks like the Octopus didn't feel like taking any troubles today and is out of the boss pool. I actually don't like that too much, because while Octomam punches a lot, hitting him will go and reduce the speed, making him a much easier boss in some of those higher strength locations rather than some other bosses like Antlion.
One thing I do want to point out, Penguin8r has a set of Artemis arrows with that samurai bow, and we see Antlion on Hobbs guarding a Porum, so there's your white maid.
Depends on how you feel about Porum. I consider Porum a bit too lackluster for White Mage. She doesn't get that great HP growth that Rosa does. She really struggles to get to the same HP that Fu does until way late and after a lot of levels, so that's very hard. Meanwhile, we do see Invenerable and Eizan finding the Magus sisters, Invenerable taking them out right away with a firebomb and getting the hook. Are we in a hook seed or are we going to be baited? This is a good question to ask right now.
This is very true. We could get baited with that hook, but it does open up a character slot, and now Edge and Fu is potentially on the table.
Very true. With that CX flag, we can't go and get Edge or Fusoya in the first 4 slots, which are the 2 starting characters. Mount Hobbs was Penguin8r checked, and Baron in, where we saw Tella. After that, it's free game for any character.
And now Penguin8r is starting to head down into Antline, go to find that hook. One thing to do point out about Porum, although she is the weaker of the 2 main white mages, she does learn Berserk a little bit sooner than Rosa, and she's guaranteed to learn Exit.
Indeed, and learning Berserk at level 18 is impressively helpful on these hook seeds where you might not even hit level 20 depending on how you route, and getting that Berserk spell is incredibly helpful when you have a character like Sid who you really want to go in Berserk to get going. And it looks like Invenerable is going to be diving that hook to go and see what character it is and maybe what boss as well.
Certainly, and you also now have that Eblon Cave Shop, which could have some pretty nice items. Oh, he found the Staleman chest, so now he's free to loot pretty much everything else in here if he so chooses.
Yeah, that's pretty helpful for Inven if he's looking for more money, because you can go and find some pretty expensive stuff in these shops, as gated shops are more likely to go and have stronger items like Cure 3s and Bacchus wines. Heal potions, however, not quite the better item you're looking for.
No, not what you're really wanting to see in that shop.
Elven Bow, however, is a good item. That gives Mage Killer power to any arrows it's using, not just mute arrows. It gives +5 wisdom when it's equipped with arrows. It's a pretty solid pickup, all things considered.
It really is. Be great. Well, if Magus Sisters was still on the table, it'd be great for them, but it does work against Asura as well, who could be annoying in the right spots.
Yeah, Sura is definitely, she's got the healing, she's got that very nasty counterattack, and we see that Cecil is facing off against his mirror image. I guess he escaped from Ordeals because Cecil is the character we pick up from here, and Dark Knight Cecil is guarding the way underground.
That makes the hook route a little interesting.
I think with Sid, we're going to have not too much trouble with it. And it's not the King Queen Evelyn spot, which is much more strong, much more physically powerful, and increases those dark waves. So I think we're going to be able to get through this hook without too much trouble. But we do have a lot of incentives for deals now with Cecil on the table and Tella in the inn. That's a lot of power you go and gain from just doing ordeals.
This is true. Ordeals will upgrade Cecil into that Paladin, which is one of the best classes in this game. And then Tella having access to his full spell list is just, for the early game, really nice. Having even just the level 3 spells is very, very useful.
And if we go and find a Darkness Crystal early, as you said, we can go and take Tella and get some real serious grinding on. And, a level 60 Cecil, you might need a sword or two, but there's a lot of swords in these seeds you can find for Cecil. If he finds, a lightsaber, an Excalibur, or a crystal sword, ooh, he is going to just destroy this seed.
Very, very true. Or you could even just find a defense sword and still make great use out of them.
Yeah, Cecil does use a wide variety of weapons. He can use bows, he can use axes, he can use swords. There's not much he can't go and be powerful with, and he's going to be a part of this party unless we find the magma key somewhere. You are required to stop by and pick him up, though you're not required to do ordeals at the moment. Let's see where our runners go at the moment.
So eLmaGus and Penguin both not grabbing that Cecil right now and going to Fabul, and we're running into the Mylon Z fight.
This is not terrible. The only punches is going to be weak to the fire that Palom has due to picking up Porum. Magus has on Palom because he picked up Porum, which gave enough experience to get all of Palom's level 2 spells, so that will be pretty safe for him. and Eizan going up to pick up his Porum. Meanwhile, Invenerable going around shopping, it looks like.
Certainly is the case. You're going to want to do some early shopping. Find some Starvels, find Thor Rages, if you can find them, Illusions, and of course, Life Potion.
Oh yeah, those life potions are probably the most important thing to get in these shops. There's a lot of bosses you can go and solve by just simply having enough ways to restore your party and get people back up after they get knocked out.
And we get the package from the king. That's not the greatest key item, but it's still a key item. Ooh, and a dwarf axe. That's very interesting.
Yeah, the dwarf axe macro weapon, which is always helpful, usable by Sid and Cecil, also helpful. Reduces agility by 5. While that doesn't sound incredibly helpful, with Sid, who's already low agility, you can do some good agility manipulation, make him a very solid anchor. I would be very happy with that pickup.
Oh, very, very true. And if you run into Kane, it's really the only way you can back row glitch him, so dwarf axe is always a nice find. And then a black sword in Fabul. That Dark Knight Cecil with that black sword can do some work in this early game.
Yeah, the black sword being Cecil's best, or Dark Knight Cecil's best weapon with +5 to most stats. It gives a -10 willpower, but it also has a chance of instant death on non-boss enemies, and not every boss is considered a boss, so that can be pretty helpful.
This is very, very true. Penguin8r unfortunately doesn't know that there's a Dark Knight Cecil available to him, so does sell it. Also found a crystal armor to sell, so money is going to be less of an issue now.
That is, crystal armor is definitely a great sell item. You might think it's the strongest armor in the game. Why would you sell it? It also prevents you from being berserked by the actual spells, so not many people like it, so it gets sold for a good chunk of change very often.
And almost in all cases, you're going to sell that crystal armor. It really helps for buying those items because your shopping list gets pretty expensive. There's only one circumstance you would ever want to keep a crystal armor, and that's if you already have an Avenger.
Yeah, there's some arguments for I want to go and make a back row Cecil a tank just to soak hits for my team, but that's a pretty dedicated setup, and you invest a lot of time trying to do that, and selling is usually just the better option. But as you said, the Avenger doesn't cast Berserk, it just sets Berserk, so you don't need to worry about about resisting it. You can.
All right, Penguin8r is our first runner making that run up Ordeals, so we'll unlock Tella's spell list and get a potential key item, but does have to go through 3 bosses first.
Yeah, and he's got some decent levels on his team, but this could still be hairy. I think the best weapon he has for Sid is a poison axe, which not as strong as the rune axe, and similar accuracy, which is pretty low.
This is very true. It has low accuracy. While it is the strongest quote-unquote axe, that accuracy is pretty punishing. And we have vanilla on Ordeals, Mylon and friends.
Another boss who didn't feel like taking a trip today. Do we actually pay relocation expenses for everyone, or are they just all slacking today?
I think everyone's spending too much money in the seed, so they just forgot to pay the bosses to move.
The travel reimbursements add up apparently. So we see Eizan and Inven going through for Bull now. eLmaGus continuing his shopping. We're going to see where he goes next after this. Looks like he might be going into Baron to try and take out that Baron infight. We'll see how that goes for him.
Penguin8r getting through that Mylon and friends, not a difficult boss, and in his vanilla spot, still very, very easy.
Yeah, the zombies are probably the scariest part of that fight, and the zombies can be stopped. That's Lit 1 is just not a very intimidating spell, but we have the best spot for Yang, the best spot for Karate. We have the back attack spot.
Around the world instantly? Perfect.
Yeah, you do this all the time on Ordeals. Why can't you go and do these light speed, warp speed travel kicks when you're for us?
Too much effort.
I'd blame him, but really I don't. Meanwhile, we see Magus fighting Mom Bomb in the inn, getting some pretty solid hits from those ads. Taking the gray bombs out, but the other bombs not going down so quick.
And he is trying to make sure that Palom gets some of this experience. It's really important to get Palom's experience early because he learns Quake very, very quickly. And Quake is incredible for the early and mid game.
Yeah, I think it takes a bit over 35 or 36,000 experience for Palom to learn Quake. And when he does, Quake's a pretty high level spell for most other people and is just going to tear through this early game. Ooh, and a moon boss behind it. Ooh, it's Plague. This could be unpleasant. Meanwhile, we'll see Penguin8r getting the pink tail from Ordeals and fighting another moon boss. This is the third Sparkle we've seen today.
Moon boss is really wanting to be in this early game. We have a nope rope on Ordeals. I actually really like seeing nope rope right here. Ogo, normally very scary in the right spots, but here, not too bad. Low HP, quickly taken out.
Oh yeah, usually he's Ogo, oh no, and today he's just Ogo, oh go.
And I do want to point out, eLmaGus got that Star Veil off on Porum before the count, so now Plague is just in an infinite loop, and this fight shouldn't be any problems.
He's a little too stuck on trying to get everyone counting, and Sid goes and sticks him with arrows and as retaliation. But we'll see what we get from this Baron Inn spot.
An Earth Crystal, that's an interesting find. It does allow you to get 2 more characters if you so desire, but it is a long check.
Yeah, the length of that check is pretty substantial, and with this team, yeah, you don't have a fantastic white mage as your white mage options are Porum and Tella, but you've got Cecil, you've got Palom. I don't really feel compelled to go and check that Earth Crystal, to be entirely honest. I think it would be better for this set of runners to clear Ordeals and just start getting underground.
Oh, I completely agree. It's a very long check. One thing to note is eLmaGus doesn't know he has access to a Cecil. He will now, but he didn't at the time. So Earth Crystal would be a very long check for not much.
Yeah, it's hard to go and see you're getting a lot out of that Earth Crystal check, but Magus also finding that Staleman chest and resending out as well. I wonder if when people go and have a Paladin Cecil, if they'll go back and hit that chest in the hope of getting an Excalibur or a Crystal Sword.
There's always a chance that could happen. The trap chests have a greater chance of dropping pretty good gear, but there's also a chance you could end up with something like a Drain Spear.
I'm sure there's some people who'd be excited for a Drain Spear.
If I have an edge in my party, I'd be excited for a Drain Spear.
Poor Kane. His most iconic weapon just treated as a joke by so many. But speaking of being treated like a joke, we see Cecil dead on Inven's side as he is just going to be killed and re-raised to keep the count going while Palom goes and deals the damage. eLmaGus is finding his Cecil. We'll see if that drives him to Ordeals to pick up that pink tail. And Eizan also getting through Plague while Penguin8r is starting the Baron Inn. A lot of overlap right now.
Especially for the early game, you kind of see a lot of this overlap. Seeing that Cecil, eLmaGus is going to go to Ordeals, has Tella to be able to instantly exit out of here as well, whereas Invenerable and Eizan did not have exit.
Yeah, that was a fair bit of a walk for both of them, and this exit is going to pick up Magus a bit of time. Penguin8r, meanwhile, through the first fight onto that Plague fight. It's actually one of the rare cases where going into that fight with a character dead would probably be to your benefit.
It's very true. Gets Berserk onto that Sid. That's going to be really nice for getting through Plague.
That is very helpful. That's going to go and just cut down the level of actions. It's going to take 2 shots from that bow, it looks like.
That Samurai bow, and I believe he has Artemis arrows on Sid, going to do a lot of work. eLmaGus now heading up Ordeals as well.
Not going to have a terribly hard option, but Penguin8r, I believe, has cleared all of his checks on the overworld, and it's up to him to decide whether or not he goes straight hook or if he just goes and tries to get that earth crystal.
One thing to note with that bow and arrow with Plague is weak to bows and arrows. So even though Penguin8r got into the fight after Invenerable and Eizan, he cleared it out much faster.
Yeah, Eizan is still going and slogging through this fight. He's got to be getting kind of close, but this is definitely taking up a lot more time than either of our runners have really need to spend on this.
Does get through it, so we'll have that Tela and the Earth Crystal, and it looks like Penguin8r is going to check out the package.
Not the worst thing. This is not exactly the, he doesn't see Cecil. He doesn't know that he's got some pretty solid characters, but with the characters he has, this isn't great. And he is checking the Mist Dragon boss as well, which we'll see if it's another boss who hasn't moved. Nope, it's Water Hag. Water Hag moved into this cave, decided he was nice and damp for him.
That's not where you want to see Water Hag. Oh, package is just a Eddie. That immediate reset.
Speaking of things you don't want to see there, you see a free boss in Mist, and you see a really Edward has his uses. He can be a real hero when it needs to, but I mean, if Dark Knight Cecil was going to be a pain, he would probably be worth it. But I think Sid's more than capable of getting the HP pool to just tank the hits. And we do see a twin in the bed. I didn't go and catch if it was Palom or Porum, but that could be important information either for an extra nuke caster in the end game or a new anchor at the end game.
Both are very great potential. All right, we see Invenerable and Eizan now also on Ordeals right behind eLmaGus.
Yeah, I wonder if Penguin8r is catching up some shopping that he's been delinquent on while he's going, and he's stopping in Troy. He could be just shopping. He could be going and looting that treasury. He's going to the castle. Is he going up Zot, or is he going to go and try and get a whole bunch of treasure?
He is going up. This is interesting because you do get a key item here. You do have the potential for 2 more characters, and he still doesn't know he has a Paladin Cecil just waiting for him in Eblon Cave.
Yeah, I guess we don't have any exceptional weapons for Cecil, but that's still a bit of a that's definitely a bit of a time commitment. But if he does find a good character like the Sawyer or Edge, he could go and get very good speed boost out of this.
You could potentially, like you said, you could potentially get a Fu or an Edge. You could also end up with 2 Porums or 2 Eddie, or my favorite, double Rydia.
I mean, Rydia can at least learn his spell after 1 million experience.
Or you luck out and find Bahamut or Leviathan. And I believe the runners found a Sylph summon somewhere, so Rydia wouldn't be a bad pickup.
Yeah, but she's definitely not the pickup you're hoping for here.
And we have Elements in the Magus sister spot.
Elements is quite the fight. There's so looks like Penguin8r is going to go for Reflect strats, which not just for Zeromus, you can go and use this to take care of the elements without getting him to shift into the Rubicant or the other half of the fight. As if you just reflect spells off a wall, it doesn't trigger counter strips, and if you don't trigger counter strips, then you don't go and get those phase changes.
And one of the other nice things about Elements is they get an HP refill when you get to the Keinatsu phase. If you do the Reflect strats, never goes into that Keinatsu phase, and you only have to deal with half the HP. You do lose half the experience, but in this early game, not a big deal.
Yeah, these spots aren't really rolling in experience, and Palom's got a lot of the good spells. He is close to Quake. He does have Virus, so he's only at most 3 levels away, but not really going to go and be losing too much. Meanwhile, we do see that Invenerable is cleaning up, getting into the final fight of Ordeals. eLmaGus is in the fight already, and Eizan is dealing with that Karate Man.
We also now know who's our second boss in the Dwarf Castle. We have a dwarf.
We also see that Tirasu has cursed our runners by going and wishing terrible things on them.
I always wish terrible things on our runners because they're they're here and I'm doing commentary, so I expect them to be able to handle them. But they're rewarded with a foo as well. That's an incredible pickup for Penguin.
I guess they split the difference between us today. I was being nice, you were being evil. It's like, 50-50, here you go. That makes this a lot more worthwhile. Fusoya Fusoya can go and carry this mid, early, and up until the late game. And if you have Cecil with a good sword, Cecil carries the late game.
Very true. But we do have this CPU. That's a little rude. But Fu already has Nuke and Quake.
This is going to go and take care of a lot of things for our runner. So yeah, anyone who just decides to pass on Za is might be a little behind. They're gonna have to go and make up time somewhere else, because Fusoya is really gonna go and let this team just bowl through a lot of the stuff in the early game.
This is very true. Fu is an incredible character throughout pretty much the entire game, just lacking in MP and HP for the Zeromus fight sometimes, but always excited to have a Fu.
Yeah, it's very hard to go and say that, man, I'm so annoyed that I went and got a Fusoya from this location. It's just, he's going to do so much work for this team. And Penguin8r getting a little lucky with how his reflex worked, and getting a lit 3 bounced off Sid onto the CPU and not taking out that defender, getting through that fight pretty quickly for a mostly mage team.
Another thing to note is Palom is 1 level away from getting that Quake. So if when he sees that Cecil hit that Mad Ogre chest, you're gonna have Quake on Palom and then a nice slingshot for the Cecil.
Yeah, Cecil's going to be in good shape for Penguin8r, I think. He's going to go and be highly encouraged to do that Mad Ogre's chest to get Quake for Palom. Though he does have Fusoya, he might end up just skipping it and deciding, I can get experience from the Dark Knight Cecil fight.
This is very true. You could certainly do that. We get Luca key from the Earth Crystal. That's a pretty mean change.
Yeah, that's I don't mind Luca key too much. The boss fight can be somewhere between atrociously awful and just mildly bad, but getting the visibility on what the key item is before you do the boss is actually quite helpful, in my opinion.
This is very true. You could go down there and see, oh, I got a Drain Spear. I don't need to worry about this boss and never know who it is. Unless you're still looking for Demus, then you still check the boss.
Yes, I believe that came up in last year's finals, where Sealed Cave didn't have what you needed, but if you didn't go and check the boss and see it was Demus, you missed out on something very important. But speaking of very important, Penguin8r, not going for the most important thing. He is turning the pink tail, but he doesn't know what he could be getting a very great weapon for Cecil here.
Pink tail normally gives you an adamant armor, but in this case, it gives you a good piece of gear and gets a Stardust Rod, the best rod in the game. That's with a Fu and a Palom. Oh yes, please give me that Stardust Rod.
Yeah, that is actually a very solid pickup. That's going to go and help. I mean, Fusoya doesn't gain stats from level up, so the only way to go and improve his spell pass power is with items, and that gives it a huge boost. That makes his nukes much closer to actual black mages. And speaking of actual black mages,
go ahead.
I was going to say, we do see eLmaGus getting close to picking up another Fusoya himself as he climbs on, while Invenerable did go down that hook path.
I don't blame Invenerable for this choice. Zot, like we said, is a long check. He doesn't know that there's a Fu up there. He knows there's a potential for it and a key item, but you want to get underground. You're going to have access to 3 more shops. You're going to have a bunch more key item checks you can make. So you definitely want to be trying to get to the underground as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and with that CN flag, there's no guaranteed characters. It's not like, well, I've seen, characters X, Y, and Z, so it's much more likely I'm going to see Fusoya in these locations. It's always a 1 in 12 is what character you're going to get, except for Fusoya and Edge, as they can't be in those first 4 spots, but anywhere afterwards, it's just 1 in 12, who do I get?
We see on Penguin8r's side a repeat from Mount Ordeals, Paladin Cecil taking on the Dark Knight. Unfortunately, Dark Knight wins this time.
Looks like Dark Knight Cecil got a buff that a lot of other people want to go and get Dark Knight Cecil because Paladin Cecil is. Ooh. I wonder how Penguin is going to play with this, as again, he doesn't have any great weapons for him yet.
Don't have the great weapons. The one nice thing is Cecil now is level 1, so he's going to be able to get a really nice slingshot for him.
That is, if he decides to go and try and get any experience for him. Looks like Penguin8r is just walking past chest and going straight down. And we find Invenerable finding a Shura in the King Queen Evelyn spot. This, it could be bad, but I think this party is going to be able to take care of it. And Invenerable did buy an Elven Bow, so he does have a mage killer weapon. And the Shura, she's going to punch hard, but if you get a wall up on her and then berserk the person with the Elven Bow, you might be able to go and just burn her down before she can kill your team.
This is very, very true. He's also getting some bluffs on that Palom, so bluff's going to increase Palom's black magic and be able to do some pretty serious work to this Assert.
Yeah, I think he's going and going to get through this fine, but it is taking a bit of time for him to set up. I wonder if Penguin8r is going to be able to just sail past him because he has Nuke on a Fusoya, and Nuke can do 7,000 damage to a character and just wipe out Ashura in one spot. No muss, no fuss.
He also has that Stardust Rod, so that Nuke is going to hit really hard on this Asura. But with all those bluffs, that Quake coming out doing almost 6k damage from Palom, that's really nice. And Cecil finishing it off.
Cecil just goes and kill steals from Palom, who does all the work, essentially. We'll see if Invenerable goes back and saves for this Dark Knight Cecil fight, or if he believes he just has the HP to survive it. He has been doing research into how much damage Dark Knight Cecil's Dark Waves do at each location, so he might be feeling, I know I can go and survive this.
Doing about little under 400, so should be able to survive it with the Sid guaranteed. And Cecil lives too, and gets a life potion off on the Palom. That's really, really nice.
Yeah, he's got experience on his most valuable characters. That's going to go and be greatly to his benefit.
And Penguin is leaving the Cecil for dead, so wanting to set up the slingshot a little bit later for him, especially since he doesn't have, something incredible for Cecil to really carry the seed.
Yeah, right now I think Penguin8r can just go and lean on food to take care of all of his problems, while Invenerable is going to need to go and get the rest of his party up to shape, though he does have a Palom with Quake, which can be pretty helpful.
Very, very true. That Palom's going to be able to do some pretty good work, just not quite to the same extent of Nuke with Fu will. So we'll see Penguin8r pretty easily get through most of the underground.
Yeah, we see Invenerable 31 minutes 40 seconds through to the underworld. Penguin8r 10 seconds behind, pretty much. This is considering Penguin8r has picked up one extra check on Invenerable, this is quite close, and I think Invenerable is going to be losing ground to this Fusoya.
He very well could. We also got a peek at the top of Tower Boss. We know where Val Valis is. That's not a fun spot for Val to be.
I think that might be one of the spots where she doesn't have full magic evade, but that's some information I don't have perfectly memorized and would really need to cross-reference. If Penguin8r knows the magic evade and knows that he can land nukes on that spot, it might not be as bad as it looks.
I don't think she has the perfect magic evade there, but it's still just an annoying spot simply because of how much HP it has for this early game. Well, mid-game, but...
Yeah, this underground I think is pretty fair to go and call mid-game, but if we find Darkness Crystal, mid-early, it all becomes shuffled up in the mix.
An early Darkness Crystal would really be interesting because it'd blow this seed wide open, and then you have to make some interesting choices. And we got our Dorf drop check. Unfortunately, Invenerable's a little too fast on the buttons, and I couldn't read it.
I believe it said Weigher and Measurer.
And it looks like chat is agreeing with you, so very nice. And we now have our cabins and exits, though you have food, so exit not the most useful item. Still nice to have in case they and your white mages are dead.
Yeah, and that apparently there is a Murasame in the Fade and March chest, so not a key item. We do have a Soma drop for food. That is pretty helpful. I imagine even Invenerable is going to like that because he still has Tella and will go and get Tella up to 100 MP. Both of those characters are prime choices for a Soma drop.
Soma drop on Fu allows him to get one more nuke cast off, and that's a big deal. But for Tella, it at least allows him to cast Meteo, which, well, it takes forever, but it's a lot of damage if you can keep Tella alive. Ooh, we have a freebie in the Leviathan spot.
And a not so freebie in the Ashura spot that a Penguin8r is going for. Odin is... I am impressed that he's going straight for this. I guess he's really thinking that Nuke Fusoya is going to go and do work.
He's also throwing a Silk Web, so that'll make this spot a little bit more bearable, but ouch.
Yeah, this is going to be, if he gets through, this is going to be very tight. I think he's going to need to throw life potions out. Yep, there goes Hallam going down. That's the second hit. One more punch, and now Odin is going to go and move to the next part of his script where he raises his sword and gets ready to Zentetsuken the party, which that's a timer you just have to beat with this party. You're not going to go and dodge it anyway. You have to kill him before this. Meanwhile, we do see that Invenerable is fighting the King Queen Evelyn, which is much less scary.
King Queen Evelyn gonna cast 3 spells and then commit suicide.
And eLmaGus getting through the Dark Knight fight, becoming the third person to come underground, while EizanTayama clearing Zot, going to go and get a Fusoya. And he's going to need to pick up some ground because there's a lot that Penguin8r and eLmaGus have on him at the moment. And Penguin8r definitely seems to be a fair bit in the lead, it looks like.
But Penguin8r did take the wipe to Odin, unfortunately just not able to pump out enough damage to kill it right away. I think if he could get that first cast of light too, probably could beat Odin. Switching Palom into the back row, I completely agree with this.
I agree. This is definitely going to go and be pretty good. Eizan getting Globe 199s on his party, losing Fusoya, which is probably the last person he wanted to go and lose, as Fusoya is his main damage at this point. And we get an Adamant from King Queen Evelyn. That is half of our crystal. We're halfway to the go mode. We still need a way to Zeromus and a Legend Sword, but that's a pretty big pickup. And it's free if you go into Feymarch and check those bosses.
And as we all know, Invenerable has been preaching recently, never Feymarch. I wonder if he's going to change his tune after seeing that.
I got the feeling Invenerable just likes preaching things so that he goes and maybe confuses his opponents as to what he's going to do. But Penguin8r, making good strides on this fight. I think he has a chance of getting it as he's got the sword raised. He's not losing as many turns. He's getting a third nuke off, which could bring him pretty close.
Well, the big thing is he gets that second lit 2 off. Last time he only was able to get 1. He did get the third nuke. I think he's done enough here. He gets through the Odin. Eizan finishing up with Tower of Zod, and eLmaGus taking a quick stop at the Dwarf Castle potion or pot to heal up and going into Dwarf Castle.
Yeah, his cabins were in Feymarch, so don't go there yet. You don't have a good way to full hero. Well, there's a good sword for Cecil in the Avenger. Not necessarily worth the time investments that Penguin8r has put into it, but maybe he can go and use it to catch up on ground later.
That Avenger is going to make Cecil really, really nice, especially if you could find something like an Excalibur, or even better, the Crystal Sword. Do the Avenger swap, and Cecil is just going to go to town.
Yeah, with that Avenger, if you get 1 Holy Sword and a second Cecil, you can go and have 2 Cecils using Holy Swords thanks to the Avenger glitch, where if you just switch items while you have, if you have a Crystal Sword equipped and switch to the Avenger, get out of the menu, before you really have the chance to update anything, the game decides, oh, this character's Berserk, and starts attacking, but doesn't check that their sword is no longer the Crystal Sword. Meanwhile, we see that eLmaGus is fighting Bahamut in the first spot of Dwarf Castle and just getting through that fight without any issues, while Penguin8r is about to get his adamant, while Invenerable checks Sheila 1, and I did miss what he got. It seems
He got a
phase.
lightsaber.
To be entirely honest, I think I would rather have that Avenger. Lightsaber is nice, but Avenger is plus 10 strength and plus 10 agility.
Yeah, I completely agree. The Avenger's going to be nice, and it looks like Invenerable's also going to turn in his pink tail, get that Stardust Rod. EizanTayama is doing something interesting and killing off these two other bosses on the overworld to try to power up the Fu even further.
It's definitely not going to take him too long, as he's already got Nuke. He's going to go and just destroy these things, but I don't know if he really needs to. He's going to get a fair number of bosses just going through where he needs to. I think Penguin8r is almost max power if he isn't already.
He's very, very close. The one thing with these overworld bosses, though, is one of them was Water Hag, and you can't just blow up Water Hag. You still have to hit it 3 times. And apparently our Dwarf Castle character was my favorite, another Porum.
So we still, well, I guess we have Fusoya, that's a white mage.
And you still already have a Porum. 2 Porums is just not worth it.
Yeah, someone who's played a 5 Porum seed more than once, I'm happy with just 1 Porum. Actually, I'm happy with 0 Porums a lot, but... And I missed what we got from that Dwarf Castle. Did you catch it, Tirasu?
I did not. Oh, it looks like it was a power shirt. Not the greatest pickup, but it has some potential.
I imagine Penguin8r is going to enjoy that when he goes and finishes there, because both him and Invenerable are in Dwarf Castle now. And this is going to be curious how this progresses. I think Penguin8r is probably going to start clearing faster with that Fusoya. We're going to see where eLmaGus goes, because he's got that Luca key. Does he go and check that, or does he go straight down to Feymarch?
And it looks like eLmaGus is going to go to Feymarch. I completely agree with this. It's 3 key item checks, potentially being able to do them. And we know that he's going to be able to. And, of course, more experience first party, which you always want to get, especially since, from what I've seen, no one's found Sirens.
I believe Penguin8r just found Sirens in Tamra. Or I saw them on one screen recently. We're going to be able to start getting experience. But another thing is, we don't have a Path to the Moon yet, and we've almost, thanks to Penguin8r, we know everything in Feymarch. We've seen Dwarf Castle. The only 2 spots we haven't checked in the seed so far are Luca Cave and Top of Tower.
And Penguin is taking the second Porum. Maybe gonna set her up to be the agility anchor?
And it looks like that when you cast Virus on her. She's going to do the very important job of making sure that Fu is faster, and I think I know why. Porum is one of the 2 characters who, when they join at their base level, allows Fusoya to be relative agility 1. And that can go and be pretty massive for just getting extra damage out.
Oh, I completely agree. Having that Porum for an agility anchor, you know, she is a white mage. She still is a good character, but as an agility anchor, when you already have a Fu and another white mage, she is amazing.
Look, she's just fulfilling her duty as a white mage, which is to provide the best support she can to the team by napping permanently every fight.
I completely agree with you. Meanwhile, we have Invenerable now on his evil wall fight, and EizanTayama is finally getting to that Asura fight. Shouldn't have any trouble with this.
Yeah, right now he's got the Luca key. We know that most of the other checks underground aren't necessary. They give some nice stuff, but you know, Power Shirt and Avenger, you can do just fine without them. Adamant is on the free boss. We know that Sheila 1 doesn't provide progression. Eizan can catch up if he doesn't go and get mired in these other checks.
We'll have to keep an eye on what Eizan does. And a Zeus gauntlet from the pot in Dwarf. That's really nice for Cecil. gonna give him a strength boost of +10, I believe.
Yeah, I think Cecil's going to be in a pretty fine shape to just start carving things up whenever Penguin8r decides to give him some weapons.
We also find Ether 1s, Hourglass 1s, and Illusions in Dwarf Castle. Those are 3 really nice buys.
Yeah, that's a nice shop. A lot of the shops overworld were not incredibly impressive, but these shops underground have been pretty nice so far. Cabins, you really want those from the moon. Sirens, you really want that for grinding in general. Illusions, you just want because those things are broken. This is all pretty.
Very, very true. And we see Penguin throws the power shirt, Zeus gauntlets, bandana, and Avenger onto that Cecil. Cecil is going to hit really, really hard.
And Invenerable is choosing to go up Keyless Towers, cabinet at the bottom. See if he just saves. He does know Val is there, so he's got a lightsaber. He's got a lot of attack multipliers on Cecil. He's probably gonna get through this pretty well. And Penguin8r is choosing to go through Luca Cave. We're gonna see if Earth is required or if Luca is just bait.
So we'll know which one is required because these are pretty much the last 2 checks our runners have.
And to answer your question from chat, yes, Let 3 will do more damage. Odin is weak to lightning, but it does have a longer delay. So if you're trying to pump out as much DPS as possible, the nukes are probably going to go and provide more, as I don't think you'd be able to get more than 1 Let 3 off before you're in dangerous territory, while you can get 3 nukes off, we saw with Penguin8r.
This is very, very true. Nuke is a very fast casting spell, able to pump out really good damage. Light 3, yes, will do almost max damage, but as you can see, Odin's still very rude in Asura, and eLmaGus takes a wipe as well.
Yeah, I'm choosing, nope, not going to take care of this now. We're going to come back another time, not dwelling on these fights and not taking a second shot like Penguin8r did. Not going to get the Avenger, but also not going to lose the time that Penguin8r did to it.
And eLmaGus is now diving that Luca key as well.
We're going to see what Penguin8r shows, because Penguin8r does have a bit of a time advantage on him. What item do we get from Luca?
That is not progression, so this Val is our progression.
We might still have hope. Is there Demist here? No, nope. Not Demist. Nope. We have a relative agility 1 anchor, so you can get through this fight, maybe.
This is still a spicy fight. Wyvern here is pretty rude.
Yeah, no, Wyvern is not a fun fight. Fun fact about Wyvern, the only time the spell spot to magic attack power matters is the Mega Nuke. He actually goes and sets his spell power to a specific value every single time he casts it. So that's why his nuke seems surprisingly consistent regardless of spot. It's a script value.
This is very true. Wyvern, once you survive the Mega Nuke, is a little bit less of a threat, but gets through it just fine with that relative agility 1 Fu. And he is out with an Excalibur for Cecil. So Cecil is fully online now.
Yeah, that confirms that Zot was not value in the slightest, but it did go and give Basoya and an Excalibur. It did cost time, but you might be able to make up that time with just having that much power. And I think Penguin8r is going to show us exactly how much time he can make up, as he's going to need to take out this Valvalis at the top of the tower. But he's going to have an Excalibur Cecil with an Avenger. I think he's going to have an easier time than Invenerable is, as Invenerable is very slowly getting through this fight, doing chip damage, it looks like.
Yeah, this spot, like I said, this spot for Val, I don't think she has perfect magic evade here. I'm not 100%. I know I've used Rydia percent and had to deal with her here, but it's still a rude spot. And
yeah, I did see a Quake. Yep, Quake got through for about 2,000 damage, which not the worst damage. He does get through. He does finish it off. That, however, did take him all the time it took Penguin8r to go and do Luca Cave. So here is our path to the moon. Does Invenerable follow it?
And there's darkness. So chances are Invenerable is going to follow that darkness crystal.
Yeah, it looks like Invenerable, first underground, is going to be the first to the moon. Penguin8r has been picking up extra checks, and he is just one check behind. So we're going to see how this pans out for Invenerable, as I'm guessing he's going straight for the moon. The only check he has left on Earth is Zot. He didn't do Zot when he was overground. I don't think he's going to do Zot before he goes to the moon.
Very, very true. Zot is a long check, and when you have 7 key item checks on the moon versus 1, you're gonna go play the statistics.
Yeah, and if he can go and find a good weapon for Cecil up there, he's going to go and want to find that. Granted, we know where one Excalibur is. It's in Luca Cave, guarded by Wyvern. Not really going to be picked up much, as eLmaGus choosing not to pick it up compared to Penguin8r, but that Excalibur with Power Shirt Zeus Gauntlet is going to go and make Moon much easier.
eLmaGus just resets out of Sheila 1, and I believe he reset out of the Sealed Cave as well.
Yes, eLmaGus is choosing just to go and get more experience, and he's grinding now. I wonder if he's going to be going for Odin or if he's going to be just getting beefed up for Val. And I think I know why Magus is, well, there's a lot of reasons not to go and do that, but I don't believe Magus has a relative agility 1 for Soya, so he doesn't have the anchor that Penguin8r has. But we do see Invenerable summoning the Lunar Well. He's going to go straight to the moon. He's going to go and start getting a truckload of experience from checks up there and just start going through the seed.
One thing to note is we still don't have 10 key items on our party, so only Penguin8r sitting at 6. Gonna be a little bit to get to those 10 key items.
Yeah, this Earth is not does not have a lot of key items. We had an Avenger in one of the Feymarch bosses. The Feymarch chest was a Murasame. Dwarf Castle was a Power Shirt. Luca Cave was an Excalibur. That's there are about 10 spots that are not key items in these flag sets, and that's almost half of them.
I mean, that means we're gonna get quite a bit from this moon, and then going to be kind of interesting to see, because you could end up with, several chains that you want to do. Well, not chains, but rabbit holes.
Yeah, this moon is going to be filled with fetch quests, if I'm missing my guess, as we still have Tower Key, Baron Key, Twin Harp, Pan, Rat Tail, all out in play, all going to be gated by the moon, if nothing else. And Invenerable is choosing to go into Cave Bahamut and is going down into the depths. And you're going to see who the boss is and probably pop some sirens to get some grind fights going. Meanwhile, Penguin8r did finish tower and is heading out.
Penguin had a much easier time with that Val, easily making up time on Invenerable on the moon. And Invenerable definitely popping some sirens, going to kill some King Ryus.
Yep, that Cecil is going to be protecting Tella, though Cecil might not really want Tella protected for a little bit. Meanwhile, we see eLmaGus going back to Odin. He's going to go and commit to this check. EizanTayama has gotten his adamant. If he chooses to leave and go up tower, he will be in better shape than Magus, perhaps, as he will just be out of here. He's leaving now. Let's see where he goes next.
Penguin8r now summoning the giant shrimp.
Prawn, for those of us who are not, well, for not those of us, those of you who are not Americans. But while we're in a little bit of a lull, I would like to go and take the opportunity to thank our restream team. We have Smithy restreaming for us today, and we have Maggie the Cat tracking for us today. Thank you both very much for your help. We wouldn't be able to make this show as great as we could without you two. Actually, without Smithy, we wouldn't be able to have one at all.
And then a special shout out to Boardface, who of course helped make this randomizer and picked out a special harp song today that we're really looking forward to. And of course, Scala Kitty, who does our Z sprites.
Yeah, Scala has gone for a lot of work. Thank you to all of everyone who's gone and worked on this. This is a fantastic project for all people, not just the people who are running here today. There's a lot of different ways to play this, and I hope that if you're new to this and you're thinking this is interesting, come join us. We've got a Discord where you can go and roll your own seeds, and there's a lot of people to go and talk to.
And there's also a newbies corner on there, which when you have questions, people are always lurking and willing to help. Hey, look, a third Porum.
Who wants a white mage? Oh, wait, no, excuse me. The question is, who wants an actual white mage? And that's everyone, and we're not seeing them today. Unless you count Fusoya, and Fusoya, again, does not have the greatest MP pool, so we're going to have to see how this fight goes. The team is not looking the best. Fusoya is good, Excalibur Cecil is good, but you have to go pretty far out of your way for the Excalibur. I am curious to see how the Z fight is going to go.
It'll really hinge on that Porum. If you can get enough HP on her, which I know that's a lot of grinding, she can get through it. But if you could stack enough magic defense on her and she survives a big bang, you'll be in good shape. And that's the key word, if she can survive it. Zeromus's big bang's not the easiest thing to survive when you're below 2200 health.
Yeah, that's a lot of ifs, and we've seen a lot of characters. Honestly, if there are two characters I think we'd go and be likely to see again today, and that's going to be the Sandruby character and the Baron character. Otherwise, I don't think we're going to see any more character checks.
Unless, of course, we could still always have that D-Mist, which is still not accounted.
True, and we see that Kanizo is in Cave Bahamut, Invenerable going and leaving now. We're going to see if he goes and tries to fight that, or if he's just going to the Lunar Subterrane. He's going to the Lunar Subterrane.
Okay, not so at that spot. Not the scariest spot for him, but still could prove to be a challenge for this party.
Yeah, and I don't know if Invenerable is confident of his anchor right now, as he's got Tella, who's had some levels, nothing quite as good as a level 10 Porum, who everyone is all set for. Penguin8r choosing to reset, checking something quickly.
Also, also to note, our Moon Shop has Cure 3s and bakashinobi. That's a really nice place for wine.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be very important, though. Penguin8r is going to not need it as much, as he has that Avenger, and he only has one character to Berserk, so I think he's going to be content skipping that Moon Shop, and we're going to see who's in the... D-Lunars also didn't move today. Is this even randomized? Bored. I know you want to give something special, but...
I mean, triple scoop of vanilla is always really pleasant. Though I never like seeing D-Lunars in its vanilla spot. This is not a fun place for them.
D-Lunars is one of those unique bosses where there is a lot to discover in Free Enterprise compared to the original game, as if you don't attack these bosses, they just keep punching and throwing fire for a little bit, and then they'll cast Breath, which you can reflect back onto your character, onto the enemies from your characters, and turn these annoying dragons into toads.
It is a very common strat, especially when they are at these higher HP spots, because it's not easy to burst through all of their HP.
Yeah, Paladin Cecil wielding Excalibur can do a fair amount, but those viruses hurt, and you don't want to just eat them all the time.
eLmaGus now has his Darkness Crystal making his way to the moon. Eizan did make a stop at Dwarf Castle, so quite firmly behind everyone else, but is now making the play up to the top of Zot. Or not Zot, Lower Battle.
Yeah, he's at least going to catch up a bit. He's not spending time in Odin, he's not spending time in Luca Cave, so he can catch up here. That's going to give him something. I think he knows he's behind, because this is not a favorite play, but it is the correct one. But meanwhile, we see Penguin8r has gone and turned those ugly, ugly dragons into cute little toads.
And he got really nice RNG on it with both of the lunar dragons becoming toads. Sometimes you just get a little unlucky and it only turns 1, but you could still manipulate the fight a little bit.
Yeah, and he's through. He's going to go and get rewarded with 2 key item checks and a good chunk of experience, because I don't think Penguin8r did any grinding before going to this fight. That was a bit bold of him, but he's been rewarded with it, with a tower key and a life staff. This seed is going to be evil, because there's going to be a lot of temptation to leave this moon and just follow a chain, because first is the big prize. First is the grand winner. That tower key could be your legend sword. It could literally be anywhere, and the more time you spend up here, the more time someone else chooses to go and follow that. You could, it's always gonna be weighing on your mind.
This is very true. You have no idea what your opponents have and haven't done. You don't know where they're at. So getting one of those chains on this moon, it's always a temptation. Leviathan at Plague, not too threatening.
No, I don't believe the match power is terribly exceptional. I think the biggest threat for Penguin8r is making sure that his anchor Porum dies. Meanwhile, we see Invenerable getting into that D-Lunar fight, going through up a Moonbell on Cecil, and getting, I think he's going to be ready. Yep, he's doing frog strats himself and is getting ready.
eLmaGus now making his dive into the lunar subterranean, and Eizan now on that Val fight. Penguin8r wraps up Leviathan very easily, but the Porum does get experience. Gonna get a lot of levels from that.
Yeah, Vu is no longer going to be relative agility 1, and that's the Baron key, so you can't just reset out of it. That is...
I was gonna say, the Baron key is interesting because it does give you another character check on top of 2 potential key item checks.
That's very true, and if you want a fresh anchor because your current 1 gain levels is not terrible, but yeah, that's a bit unfortunate that his anchor gain levels. That is going to slow him down a bit on this moon, but Invenerable has gone and gotten the frog strats on D-Lunars as well, and is going to be getting through this fight without too much trouble now that he's throwing Bacchus wine on his fighters.
Very, very true. Once there are frogs, they pose 0 threat to your party. Penguin8r now checking out this Ogopogos, and we have a Golbez. Ooh.
Yeah, this is going to be ugly. This is going to be, he wants to go and try and get his party killed off as soon as possible, and this is going to be a little tricky for him.
He managed to get 2.
That's gonna help a bit, but you really want to make sure it's Palm who goes down, not Fusoya or Cecil, because both of those are going to be very important for this fight. Cecil with a Star Veil and an Avenger is probably going to be able to take out Golbez on his own. Fusoya with his nukes is also going to be able to do considerable work. So you might be able to get by with just 1, but you really need to make sure you get your Star Veils off in time.
Does hit the Palom with Demolish, so has the 2 characters alive he really, really wants for this fight, especially Cecil. Cecil with a Star Veil, Avenger, this fight shouldn't be any problem.
Yeah, and Rivers and McCown in chat pointing out that this is a fight that a lot of people skip because it's slow, it's long, and this is terrifying. This is awful. Yeah, this... Whoa.
Quad 9s.
Right.
This spot is no joke for Golbez. It is a high magic spot. It's very, very dangerous. It's not the easiest fight in the world, and we're gonna see what he decides to do. It looks like he's gonna employ the piggy strats.
Looking to go and turn his party into pigs prevents the hold from going off, but he, I wonder if he's going to take any encounters to try and set up his party better, or if he's just going to go and rely on starting off this fight again, because he can't actually go and control which characters live or die right now.
He turns Fu back from a pig, so Fu will become paralyzed, but Fu does act first, so not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, he's going to be able to kill off some of his party members, but using a kamikaze to go and send his one character into another. Then going to Star Veil with Cecil, so that he'll have that Star Veil up and be able to Avenger swap afterwards.
That is very, very well done.
Yeah, that's some good game knowledge. That's just some good awareness of what's happening. And this is a much safer fight for Penguin8r. Invenerable is now just getting into this fight for the first time for himself.
And we see on eLmaGus, he also tried to employ a little bit of the frog strats. Unfortunately, some of his characters did get hit with the breath, and the reflected only hit one of them.
Yeah, Invenerable trying to go through a mute out with in start of the fight, but takes a bit too long, and all of his party is paralyzed. He's got Tella down, but he needs to go, and we're not going to see how this goes for him because he's very likely to take a wipe. Meanwhile, Penguin8r gets through that. It has his party as he likes. We're going to see if Fusoya can survive, or he's just going to go and try and start throwing nukes right away.
He's just relying on that Excalibur, Avenger, Cecil, Golbez weak to Holy, and you just see absolutely tearing through the fight. That Star Veil going to prevent magic from hit, and just like that,
the Piggy Pally destroys the evil Golbez. And we find Twin Harp, more chains. We're a 3 for 3 on chains, but that does put Penguin8r at 10 key items.
One thing to point out, Invenerable did manage to get that Star Veil off on the Porum. While not the most optimal character, it does allow him to hopefully get a recovery go.
Yeah, if he can go and get Cecil goes down again, that's going to be really hard for him. He needs to go and have 2 spells hit Porum after the light goes off, I think.
This is very, very true. Golbez in this spot is very fast. It's not easy to recover. Gets the wall off on Cecil.
That's good for him. It looks like 9,000 damage. I think Invenerable's going to be getting through this fight and catching up to Penguin8r a bit off of this, while we see Penguin8r going, and he's got 3 different chains to follow. Any of them can go and send him to the Legend Sword, but this is tense.
But Invenerable does get through the Golbez. Very well done on his end. That is very, very impressive.
Yeah, that say picks up a lot of time for Invenerable. Meanwhile, Penguin8r is choosing to do a bit of a grind, while Invenerable probably has all the levels he needs for the moment. It might be passing Penguin8r at this point.
Very true. Invenerable will make up some ground because Penguin is choosing to stop and grind, but I don't blame Penguin8r for doing this, because at this point, 10 key items, you're going to get a lot of experience, get those end game levels, and just blaze through everything else.
Yeah, and he does have that Excalibur Cecil. Just getting some more experience on him is going to be helpful. He's just done 1 fight. That's enough for him for the moment, it seems. I think that was enough to get... he's probably mostly concerned with Cecil and Porum, perhaps.
Probably trying to look to get Cure 4 on Porum. She learns that really, really late.
I believe it's level 48 or 49. It is... Look, I get grief for going and slamming Porum so often. The point when she learns Cure 4 or Cure 3 even is just so far behind Rosa. It's very hard to go and really like her as a white mage.
Oh, I completely agree with you. We see the Wyvern spot is pretty much free this seed, and hitting the 2 characters that Invenerable most likely wanted hit.
Yeah, if nothing else, you're giving out free punches, but looks like they're going to go down pretty quickly in this fight. Coffin's going out, Life Glitch is getting thrown. This is going to catch Penguin8r up on experience, as it looks like he's still a bit behind Invenerable in experience, so pretty helpful for him, but Invenerable also getting experience, but does not have 10 key items, so we're going to see where this goes for him.
And Penguin8r getting through the fight just a little bit faster, but did choose not to throw that hourglass. Eizan is now in his D-Lunar fight, and eLmaGus just wrapped up Leviathan, so he is heading down to that Golbez. A pass from the Wyvern spot, though. That's really nice. That means you don't ever have to come back to the moon, and it incentivizes you more to go ahead and full clear it.
Indeed, and it's Fortune Crystal. We have to go back to Earth no matter what to go and get our crystal, so this is a very good pickup for everyone who's going to find it. This is... Penguin8r and Invenerable are neck and neck right now. Invenerable has levels. Penguin8r just leaving the moon, deciding to go and follow up, and while Invenerable is choosing to hit these last two spots up here. Let's see who gets rewarded for this check.
It's very true. One thing to note is Penguin8r now has 3 checks he open up to him. 4 checks. Baron Castle has 2. So you only have 2 checks back on the moon, and the chances are you might find what you're looking for back on Earth. Of course, if Invenerable finds that adamant before Penguin, it could be quite a while before Penguin8r comes back to the moon.
Indeed, though, I'm pretty sure in this stage of the race is really going to come down to who goes and finds legend first, as all these parties are pretty much Zeromus ready. There's not much that's going to go and slow them down, I feel. So this is a race for the legend sword, and everyone is taking their bets, and Invenerable's not betting on Gauntlet, it seems. Penguin8r is choosing to bet on Tower.
I don't blame Invenerable for that. Gauntlet is a very long fight. 6 fights in total, 16 enemies? Yes.
Yep, 16 enemies.
And at the Peldim spot, they hit hard and they're pretty fast. It's not the funnest fight in the world.
Yeah, this is just going to go and chip through your party pretty solidly. And speaking of getting chipped through, EizanTayama is looking in scary shape. He's got fires coming out. 1 D-Lunar is down, but food goes down and he takes a wipe to D-Lunars. Meanwhile, eLmaGus has got a wall up and is getting through this Golbez.
And it looks like he's getting set up for the Avenger. Unfortunately, had a samurai bow on Cecil, so.
Yeah, it looks like he probably had that set up for grinding, but he goes and just punches, gets the Y from Golbez, and is rewarded with his twin harp.
eLmaGus now at 10 key items as well. Invenerable is taking on this Kainatsu. Shouldn't have any trouble with it. Now with his levels, shouldn't have any problem.
Yeah, I think Invenerable is going to be relying on power overwhelming, but that is not a small wave that he just took, but I guess he feels better about taking waves than punches, because those punches will hurt, and he's going to be chipping down his HP pretty quickly with 2 Zerkers. So let's see. Meanwhile, Penguin8r finishing up Tower King is going to get the check there, and Penguin8r apparently found D-Mist in Tower, so that is 2 checks for him. That's pretty helpful.
The dream of the finals having D-Mist at Giant is dead. But gets a Sand Ruby. That's your potential anchor right there.
Indeed, that can go. That's a fresh twin, so you can re-anchor pretty well with that. You might need to go and pick them up when he goes into the final fight, but he could to Dwarf Castle and get a new anchor there, or not Dwarf Castle, excuse me, Baron Castle and get a new anchor there. But let's see what D-Mist has for us.
More chains. Let's go with Rat Tail.
D-Mist is building suspense for us. D-Mist doesn't want to go and let us find it too quickly. He wants us to really find every single key item, and then we can go and get our Legend Sword.
Of course, it could end up leading to the Pan or Magma Key. You don't want to see that Magma Key anymore.
No, the Magma Key is more of the worst consolation prize you can ever get, because Penguin8r already has 10 key items. He's already been underground. Meanwhile, no value from K Bahamut today. It's a defense sword there. It is an upgrade for Invenerable, who's only using a lightsaber, but not what he's looking for.
No, he didn't want to see that defense sword there. And the chain continues. Pan from Rat Tail.
D-Mist, just ratcheting up that suspense. We've gone and had to get this from a Darkness Crystal from Valvalis at the top of Keyless Tower, from the Tower Key on the moon, D-Mist giving us this Rat Tail, Pan, what do you have for us? What story are you telling? Is it one of sorrow and woe or one of triumph and victory?
Invenerable is now back on the blue planet. Wonder where he's going to go. Probably do tower as well.
Tower is probably the fastest of all those checks, so I can go and see a lot of value in that. He's right behind Penguin8r, though. He's Penguin8r is a few steps ahead of him here. If this isn't where they need to go and it's somewhere else, this will put both of them behind a bit, I feel.
It'll all depend. The seed's still open for anyone to take first.
Yeah, if it's any of these chains, if it's behind Twin Harp, and that's the last check of everyone else except for, say, EizanTayama, Eizan can still go beat this Golbez, get Twin Harp, check that, and be in prime position for first place. There is no one out of this race yet.
Sylph's just having a ninja shirt. I think that's something special for you.
I think they believe Penguin8r named his team for 2v2's Team Ninja shirt. I'm sure he's excited to see that without an edge.
Invenerable now taking on this D-Mist. Won't have any trouble. And just like that, it's gone. Eizan is now in this Golbez fight, and looks like he gets some good RNG. The Cecil and Fu staying alive.
That is very fortunate for him, because I don't think he walked in with any of those characters dead, so that's pretty helpful, but he does need to get his Star Veil off, and that is the lightsaber you get from Sheila 1, and the Sheila 2 check is a Dragoon Spear.
The D-Mist
Power key is all bait.
Oh man, that is a juicy bait.
Penguin8r is probably feeling a bit frazzled by that because he knows he committed time to just getting it. He's going into Baron now. That's the next highest density of checks. If it's not here, it's either behind Twin Harp or Gauntlet.
I am more hoping it's behind Twin Harp over Gauntlet, because Gauntlet is boring and Twin Harp is music.
I agree. I'd rather have Twin Harp as well. What we do know is it's not going to be a rabbit hole. There is no chain. It is going to be behind either Gauntlet or one of the key items directly from the moon.
So it's now who makes the choice first. Well, Invenerable now is going to go through those D-Mist chains. You have to chase them. Penguin, like you said, going into Baron, that's two key item checks plus a potential new anchor.
Indeed, and I wonder if he's going to go straight for Odin to save a tiny bit of time, because the two scariest fights that could really kill him at Odin were Golbez and Wyvern. Both of them are dead. Here's a Lunar Sparkle. I believe this is Paladin.
I'm pretty certain it's Paladin. We've seen the rest.
There's Paladin, not quite going down quickly, but not staying alive for very long, I feel.
Nope. Cecil with Avenger quickly takes that out. Eizan having to restart this Golbez fight did take a wipe, and eLmaGus just picked up his pass and is going back into the lunar subterranean. So I wonder if he's going to reset out of that gauntlet or go ahead and fight.
I wonder if he feels he's going to need to commit to this, because I don't know if he feels if he's ahead or behind at this point. But we find Penguin8r is fighting the officer-soldier fight on the throne, not very hard or threatening, and is going to go down very quickly to this party.
The Kaipo guards got tired of being bossed around and overthrew the king.
We can be more than little girls, honest. We'll prove it to you. Not today, Kaipo guards. Sorry, not today.
Invenerable just picked up his pan, and it looks like he's going to go do his grind. And that's an edge from Baron.
He's got ninja swords. He's going to get a slingshot. Yeah, I think he takes them.
And it looked like he threw away the Palom.
That makes sense to me. Palom's not going to do a lot. Aurum is still kind of low level, so you might be able to get the rest of your party up to relative agility 1, if not Besoya. So, not the worst thing, I feel. And Fu can afford not to be relative agility 1 if he's just going to be throwing out healing in that final fight.
This is very, very true. eLmaGus is taking on this gauntlet.
That could be the play he needs. He's been a bit behind Penguin8r and Invenerable. If he goes and gets Legend Sword from this, he's in the lead. But Penguin8r rewarded with Magma Key. Yay, consolation prizes.
The real prize from that was that Edge, though it is a little late. Edge will get some experience to be ready for the Z fight. If nothing else, could certainly throw some of the excess weapons you have.
Very true. And we're getting very close to finding out which spot it is because we're down to 3. Odin, Twin Harp, or this final gauntlet at Peldim spot.
And just so everyone is aware, this seed was rolled by our lovely FB creator, Boardface. And we are so thankful that he rolled this wonderful, wonderful seed. Though I'm certain our runners are not too amused.
I'm sure all of our runners are getting close to heart attacks because this is the worst position to be in. It's anywhere, it's all open spots, and you just have to get.
Ooh, that Edge, the stone missed on the Dark Elms. Now setting up for Berserk Thistle, setting up another chance at the stone. Unfortunately. And I think he did throw an hourglass, so shouldn't have any more threat.
Yeah, this way is
just. I was gonna say, Invenerable just turned in used his pan to get the ninja shirt, and now going to go try to pick up his dragoon spear without a dragoon.
Yeah, if there's a dragoon in the seed, he's in the giant. We have seen every other character spot the seed.
Oh look, Porum finally learned Cure 4, and that's a Bahamut summon. Womp womp.
2 spots left, and Penguin8r is taking the hidden Black Chocobo, who shows up after you get the Darkness Crystal. We're about to see if it's Twin Harp or if it's behind Gauntlet.
Gauntlet
it is behind
the Harp. We have required music, and oh boy, what a chain to get to it.
It requires Bell to Golbez to Twin Harp. Required music. Penguin8r is looking to be in a very solid lead. Invenerable looks to be going to Baron, which is a sensible check, but Penguin8r is looking to be in a very secure first place location at the moment.
This is very, very true. And eLmaGus going to that Kainatsu at Bahamut. He really doesn't want to do this, but unfortunately, I think we have a clear first place with Penguin8r now.
Penguin8r, who, for the record, is going to go 26 out of 28 and still be in the lead. That is something that I imagine he'll find mind-boggling. But one thing I think we're noticing with this routing is everyone's going for the most efficient routing. They're not going for, wild gambles or whatnot, with the exception of Eizan, who has fallen behind and is struggling with Golbez. But they're taking very efficient routes. They're making the most efficient checks. Magus, I think, has the biggest gamble in sitting through that gauntlet and not getting rewarded for it.
And we're going to be quiet while we listen to DJ Spoonie B.
I do not recognize this song, but it is what I think it is. Yes, okay, it is the Panic song from Final Fantasy IV, redone on the harp.
That is, keep in mind, this song was specially picked by Boardface for this seed. That is a really perfect song for this.
And Penguin8r has to be panicking pieces. He knows if it's not here, he is super far behind, but we know he is correct. He is going to be rewarded. Invenerable going and clearing.
Go ahead.
I was just mentioning that Invenerable clearing out the Kaipo guards on the throne. Eizan going back to the D Lunars, apparently not getting them down, and eLmaGus finishing full clearing the moon with Kanaizo.
And also, just to note, Penguin8r is using Medio on this Baigen.
When you absolutely positively want to make sure something's dead, use Media.
You just gotta wait forever and a day for it to cast.
But now, at 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 50 seconds, we have our first runner in Go mode, Penguin8r, with the Legend Sword, in a commanding lead, it looks like.
And to get to this Legend Sword, you had to do Keyless Tower to get Darkness Crystal from Val into Golbez at Ogopogo to get the Twin Harp to get your Legend Sword. What a chain, and what a chain you have to do to, or what bosses you have to do to get it. You don't want to ever deal with Golbez or Val.
Yeah, this seed is not free. There is nothing about this seed that was particularly easy, as we had to go through Ashura. We had to do a hook route through Ashura at King Eblin, Dark Knight Cecil at Rubicant. We had all of the overworld leading to very little, but Penguin8r's early decision to do Zot and getting a Fisoya, I believe, really put in the lead, and that choosing to commit to the Excalibur that he got from Luca Cave has really paid off. Right now, it's down to a Zeromus fight. We are getting ready for it. We're getting close. This is exciting.
I don't even think Penguin8r really needs to do any grinding unless he wants to level up one of the Porums just a touch to get her that Cure 4. You don't really need Edge for this fight. He's just bonus.
Yeah, Edge is going to go and help maybe push phases and cut down the number of big bangs we need to go through, but I think we're pretty close to seeing a very special sprite, and I think someone here just joined us to talk about that.
Hey everyone, this is Scala. Before I talk about the sprite, I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of the admin team and the dev team to all the runners, the commentary, the trackers, the restreamers, and to every last viewer out there, whether you caught all the races live or you have been binging our YouTube VODs. Thank you, all of you, for your support to help make Free Enterprise the amazing community that it is. We couldn't do this without every single one of you. So, for this tournament, we went for a very specific aesthetic. You've seen it on our splash screens and on our overlays. So we thought it might be fun to kind of bring some of that into this final Zeromus fight. I already like all the people who are making guesses in chat. You're all really, really fantastic.
I think I speak on everyone else's behalf to say thank you and all the admin team for the work you put in to go and organize these tournaments and make them possible. It's been an extraordinary amount of fun being a part of this, and we're about to find out what special surprise we have as we're coming to this Zeromus fight. So let's see whose butt we're gonna kick for this tournament.
Yeah!
Penguin8r looks to go and have relative agility 1 on that Cecil at the very least. And we're just waiting for that crystal to get thrown to switch over to the Avenger. And let's see what surprise Scala has given us.
Well,
True colors of murder.
well, y'all know we do have a very particular name for this tournament. So we decided to make you all fight Zemus. And not only that, we did go, it is the PSP version, so he's so super huge. And we also, we gave him a completely brand new color palette that is Vaporwave themed. And it's kind of subtle on some of our runners who are doing the console capture. We actually also tweaked the background. It's actually brighter than it normally is, so that way we could match a little bit better the new palette. So
I'm gonna say, Scala, you really outdid yourself this time on this sea sprite. It is absolutely amazing. Well done.
Is peak aesthetic.
It's fantastic.
And it's perfect for the end of the tournament. I'm going to leave it back with you, Baka and Tirasu, and also, real quick, thanks as well to behind the scenes to Smapedy and to Maggie, who are just knocking it out of the park. And let's cheer on the runners, everyone, for the end of this tournament. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. This is a real treat.
Thank you so much, Scala. And again, it's been a great pleasure working behind the scenes in the tournament and even getting to compete myself in the qualifiers. It's been an absolute blast.
Yeah, this has been a real special tournament, and thank you again for everyone who's made it possible.
And Penguin8r, you see this Cecil is just absolutely tearing through Zeromus. Shouldn't have too much trouble.
Yeah, it looks like Penguin8r is considering trying to get a nerf off. It looks like waiting on his Fusoya to cast a nuke, it looks like, while Cecil is just tearing through Zeromus.
He is, and waited for that second shake, and should get that nerf off. That's one way to ensure your Porum survives.
Yeah, that's definitely, I believe we saw Simbu pull off a similar strategy, though he kept his Star Veil on Porum to make sure that any nukes that hit her would go and be reflected. But a nuke into Big Bang is ugly it's going to take down Cecil.
That's not who you want to see go down. Cecil is all your DPS.
Yeah, that is not your favorite thing to see. He's going to get a life potion up, and he's going to go and throw cures out. He only has cure 3 on Porum, so it's not going to be a full powered heal, but it might be enough to go and get things going again.
We are in second phase of Zeromus, so instead of those viruses, going to be casting Nuke.
At least it only hits Fusoya for 400, so that's a small mercy for him, as that could have been far worse.
Also, Invenerable now has his crystal heading into the Zeromus fight.
He doesn't have the Excalibur, but he does have better levels, I think, so he might be in a better position. He could still go and take first. Penguin8r can go and take an Alpha Wipe. His party is not in the strongest of shape.
His party is certainly a little bit lower level, and one thing to point out, Invenerable has that Palom with Nuke, so we'll be able to make use of Reflect Strats. But we do have rocks falling on Penguin's side.
It's looking pretty good for him, but he does have walls up on all. He is finished, though. He is finished. Penguin8r is our first place finisher for the Highway to the Zemus Zone with the official SRL time of 1 hour, 30 minutes, 54 seconds. GG Penguin8r, and congratulations on being our new Zemus Zone champion.
GG. And I love what he threw up for his stream.
Always a man going to please the crowd.
And just to note, Penguin8r fought his way to this spot, having to do one of the, forget which one, but one of the 13 through...
He was in the last chance qualifier. He needed to come in first place in that race in order to get back into the tournament, into this final round, and he did so. He went from being almost out to being the grand final winner.
So incredible play for the tournament for Penguin8r, and very well deserved first place and taking the championship for Highway to the Zemus Zone. Let's see if we can get him in here for an interview.
Indeed, and I believe we're joined by him now. Congratulations on the first place finish in the Highway to the Zemus Zone, Penguin8r. How do you feel?
Pretty happy. The comeback of the century, going from almost eliminated in the last chance qualifier and then coming all the way here. Never thought it would happen, to be honest, but here we are. Can't be happier.
You played extraordinarily well this seed. It really shows why you're able to go and come back from that. What are some of your general thoughts on this seed?
I guess early on we were somewhat funneled. The Earth Crystal, thought about skipping, but ended up paying off with the Fusoya, I think. And I guess also led to the Excalibur. But then once we kind of got underground and the moon, things opened up, items everywhere, and once I figured that someone would do the reverse order on the moon, so I figured I had to come back after doing some of the checks I couldn't full clear the moon. And once I came back, that's when my heart really started pounding, because I had like 3 different items and started chasing chains, not knowing where to go, just looking for that legend sword.
I'm going to say your routing throughout this seed was really, really amazing, and you got into the underground second, just literally seconds behind Invenerable, and again, seconds behind him going to the moon while still doing considerably more checks than him. So just very, very well done on that. What did you think of that heart music when you got to it?
I actually did not recognize what it was. I probably wasn't paying too much attention. My pulse is probably about at least 180 at that point.
It was the panic music from Final Fantasy IV.
That's exactly describes my mental state at that point.
Yeah, you were for a lot of the seed, you took on extra checks compared to Invenerable, and they were just behind him until you got to the moon, where you just pulled ahead because Invenerable did skip Zot, and he thus also skipped Lucky Cave. Which, what were your thoughts about deciding to go and get through that wyvern in Luca Cave when you knew that you didn't need to go and do it?
I very nearly reset out of it. Was trying to decide if the Excalibur was worth it, and decided to just go with it. I kind of hoped it was the Mist Dragon there, so then I'd have an excuse to do it anyway and keep the Excal, but ended up opting to keep the Excal, and I think it probably paid off in the end.
Yeah, it was one of the 2 big parts that really helped you sail past Invenerable on the moon, I believe, as you were able to consistently put up damage, and you had a very solid party for a lot of this, but you definitely went and picked up time on the moon, got a lead on Invenerable, and then kept it afterward. Is there, what was your thoughts on the post-moon route, to be entirely honest? That was, there were a lot of options open to you, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that.
So I think in the back of my mind the whole time was the fact that I think like 5 of my seeds this league have had Legend Sword at Twin Harp. So I was thinking about just rushing there, honestly. But I feel like Tower Key is generally more efficient, and I do like the tower myself, so I figured I'd go there first. And once you're on one chain, you kind of have to stick to your guns in order to maximize your chances of taking first. So stayed with that. Baron's generally better than Twin Harp just because there's 2 checks there instead of the 1, being that there's the throne and the Odin spot. So I just followed in that order and ended up being the complete wrong order, but worked out anyway.
You did go and win in the end, and to be entirely honest, that was not the, you're not the only one who followed that route. Invenerable had a very similar route as well, though he chose to do Kanaizo on the move before coming back.
Yeah,
but congratulations
he
again.
a little bit, and we compared notes. Sounds like it's pretty close between us.
It was
very close between you and Invenerable. The big things were, again, you kept that Excalibur, which allowed your Cecil to really pump out some damage. You had the Fu where he didn't, and just very, very clean play on your part.
Thank you.
Yeah, do you have any final thoughts on the seed or the league?
I guess first I want to say thank you to all my fellow admins for running this league. And of course, thank you to the green names, Rivers, Board, and Scala for making and maintaining this game. And I often give them a hard time in our admin chats, but I'm always grateful. I think the time I spend on this game is indicative of how much I love it, and so I'm always thankful that they put their time into it as well. And thanks to all the racers who've made a great competition and pushed the game over the past couple years, and especially GG's to the 3 others who made it out today. Could not have imagined a more formidable finals race. And today I got lucky. Any day I think any of these guys could have taken it home. And one last thank you to all the volunteers who helped make this tournament run successfully. I think we've had a great event, and just big thanks.
Thank you as well for participating. This has been great to go and watch this whole tournament. It's been very exciting.
And GG, well played again on taking the championship, Penguin8r. Looking forward to seeing you in future races and tournaments.
All right, thank you, and I'll let Inven take his turn. I think he's up next.
Indeed, we're joined by the second place finisher Invenerable. GG, how do you feel?
You know, it might help if I unmuted my microphone. How do I feel? I don't hate it.
It certainly put on a great show and very well played by you. It's just slight things that gave Penguin the advantage, but nothing to be ashamed of how you played. You still did everything very, very.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know from chatting with Penguin8r after the race that there was a Fusoya I missed out on in Zot, which, you know, he's only there roughly 16% of the time. So on those other 84% of situations, I think I'm in really good shape there. But, you know, I played well, didn't have any embarrassing wipes, which is always the #1 thing I worry about. And second place behind Penguin8r. Hey, no shame in that. Although this does mean next year the only way to go up is to win. So, oh goodness.
This is very true. I wasn't around for last year's tournament. I think you got in 6th.
Yeah. It was 5th or 6th between me and Nirm in the middle race. I think he took 5th and I think I got 6th. So 6th up to 2nd, sure, sounds good.
It's still an improvement and still incredible play. You've been absolutely tearing it up in this tournament. So couple thoughts. Well, one thing I want to say, your Golbez fight was probably one of the cleanest out of all 4 of the runners. So that was very well done. What did you think of the heart music though?
I have no idea what song that was. I was just like, okay, I'm sure that people are enjoying this, but I got nothing.
The panic music from Final Fantasy IV.
Oh, okay. There's panic music and when like okay, never mind. Like when Rosa's in the chair with the orb above her, and it's like, okay, I got it now. I didn't recognize it in Twin Harp form.
It is very distinct in that form.
But yeah, fun seed. I'm glad the moon wasn't completely haunted. Maybe it had a little too much on it. Too many options for once getting back to Earth. I will say that I actually got very lucky that Golbez fight, because all he had to do was choose to hit. If he hits whoever is first in your queue after the paralysis wears off, you're hosed. He's going to hit both of you in that spot with spells that are going to do way more than your HP. I just got very lucky that he targeted the second player in the queue instead of the first one. Otherwise, it would have been a wipe and a reset and having to set up for it. So that was very lucky. But hey, you gotta have a little bit of luck to do well at this.
It certainly is the case. Sometimes you just don't get the luck and you don't find what you need.
But still, very fun seed, great race, great competitors. I've had a blast this league. I can't wait to see what the next big event is after a little bit of a break. But yeah, this has been tons of fun, and thanks to everyone who's worked so hard to put it together. All the people who volunteered to help with restreams. SmateD has been working overtime these last couple months to make sure all these get aired. Everyone on commentary, all the trackers, everyone's just done such a great job. And thanks to the community who actually comes out and watches these races. I mean, I'd be playing this game anyway just because I love it, but it's definitely more fun when we get to entertain at the same time.
Very, very true. And once again, GG, congrats on second place. And of course, always looking forward to racing against and seeing you in future tournaments.
Hey, thanks, y'all. Enjoy the rest of the race, and I'll catch y'all later.
Gene, congratulations again on the second place finish. Very well done.
Thanks, Baka. Later, y'all.
And now we have our third runner going into the Z fight, eLmaGus. And Eizan is now off the moon, immediately running to that twin harp. Actually did something I forgot that you can do and took the Lunar well to park over by Troya.
Not something that comes up very often, but you can do it. Now you gotta have those extra cutscenes, but if you just need to go to one spot, that's one spot you can go. You can go and park on just a single tile. Getting into Eizan not going and having the greatest seed today, but he is catching up with making the correct guesses for where to go. We see Magus in the Zeromus fight, getting ready to go into it.
And I couldn't really tell when Scala was saying she brightened the background. Now I can on eLmaGus' screen, so really nice. I really like.
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can try and play the seed myself a little bit. The Z sprite seems pretty interesting.
Oh, I'm hoping in a next update we can finally start seeing this one crop up every now and.
Very true. That's we do add them in batches with updates, so it takes a little bit to come in. This is looks like eLmaGus is going to go and have a pretty solid fight. He's got a very high level Cecil with over 4,000 HP almost, and 3 mages who can all reflect nukes. So it doesn't seem like he's berserking his Cecil. He might be going for a straight reflect kill.
One thing to note, he's only got 2 mages that can reflect nuke. I think his Porum definitely should have white, and he picked up the second Palom from the bed to use as an agility anchor. Not the greatest, but certainly does work pretty well for this fight.
Yeah, this should go, and looks like he's going in on those reflect strats, and he should be pretty clean, I think. This is the worst thing that's going to happen is if he needs to go and do additional healing. He doesn't have Cure 3, so he's going to have to either stop healing with Porum and stop doing DPS with Porum and throw out a Cure 4, or just try and nuke him down before he can get to the next big bang.
It looks like he's going to throw out a Cure 4 with the Foo.
Seems reasonable. That'll go, and Porum is probably going to do a bit more damage, and he'll get everyone in more safe positions. It's getting close, but I think he's going to be able to get through this without too much difficulty.
Shouldn't have too much trouble with this fight. His Palom doing really good damage with those nukes. The white doing pretty solid damage. And he's also, since he doesn't have the Zerker, he's going to be able to skip that second phase in the HP refill. So, going to have a little bit faster of a fight.
Yeah, and for those who are unaware, what happens is Zeromus, he's a very special boss in that he has more than 61,000 HP, which is the maximum you can realistically have in this game. So what happens is at a certain point after you do so much damage, Zeromus will just refill his HP to full, so he goes from having 61,000 HP to a total of 100,000. But that Big Bang didn't kill anyone, but everyone is at sub 1,000 HP. This is a very ugly looking spot, but I think Magus is going to get through it without too much trouble.
Gets the Cure 4 off. That's a big deal. And there's the black hole, so reflect falling off the Foo now.
Yep, and Cecil's stepping right up to throw Moonveil up to get the reflect back on. I don't think he's going to take too much more. I think we're getting pretty close to the end of this fight for eLmaGus.
I definitely agree. It shouldn't take too much more. EizanTayama now has his Legend Sword.
He'll be into the Zeromus fight quickly. We'll see if he needs to do any additional grinding, but all of our runners look like they're going to be pretty safely coming in sub 2 hours with this seed, and there is eLmaGus finished with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 46 minutes, and 48 seconds in 3rd place. GG eLmaGus.
GG, very well played. We'll also see if we can get him in here for an interview.
Yeah, overall, this seed has been interesting. We are joined by our 3rd place finisher, eLmaGus. GG, congratulations, and how do you feel about that seed?
That was a good seed, thank you very much. A bit disappointed, of course, with how things panned out in the end, but I mean, you can't really do much about it. I think I played very well, ultimately making the quote-unquote wrong decisions, but I think I would play like that again, so I can't be too mad at it.
Yeah. Rando's gonna rando sometimes. I mean, you still played very, very well.
Yeah, I mean, I got literally everything, so I'm pretty happy with the time I got.
Yeah, 146 for full clear of the seat. That's definitely something to go and be happy with it, even if it isn't the first place in this race. That's any parts of the seat that really stood out to you?
I mean, there was a lot of potential to just say, all right, screw it, I'm gonna go check this now, or I'm gonna go forward and do this, which I was conservative about for the most part, but I can see how the other two who finished before me might have skipped out here and there, and that paid off big time for them, which, you know, that's also rando. But there was a lot of opportunity for that in this seat specifically, so pretty fun on that part. And then my first Odin fight was the only thing that I really don't like, because Fusoya just like hit 2 low rolls on the nuke, and then yeah, it was too late. I don't know. That was pretty ugly. But other than that, it was pretty fun, pretty good seed, and yeah, pretty happy.
Yes. The seed funneled you for the overworld for a bit, where you know, the main optional thing you had to do was Zot, which you did choose to do. After seeing you just got a Fusoya that led to an Excalibur, how did you feel about that?
I mean, you're happy to get Fusoya, right? But like, then ultimately you look back at the seed and you're like, I could have just skipped that and it would have been fine. So like, but I think skipping 2 characters before a potential weird fight underground, bit of a mistake probably. But I mean, it can pan out like it did here, of course. But like, I mean, I don't know if it's a big mistake. I would prefer the play to do the Earth Crystal first. But yeah, I was pretty happy at first. But like, yeah, looking back at it, it's kind of like, well, shouldn't have done that, huh?
I mean, Fusoya still did go and help you accelerate your early game a bit more. He did go and, I mean, if you didn't have Fusoya, would you, granted, this seed wouldn't have paid out, but you wouldn't be able to go and get through that Odin as early as you did, which would have been 1 less check you could have done before you cleared the moon.
True. But yeah, that's kind of the thing, right? So like, if you get 2 good characters there, or even just 1, you have a lot more options potentially, which can make you win the race a lot. But at the same time, you could also just have a straight path, get a good weapon for Cecil, which would have happened, and all that. So yeah, it's kind of. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, our first place finisher Penguin did choose to go and take that Excalibur, fighting through Wyvern there, which did help like, the moon go a bit faster.
I figured as much. Yeah. That's like, I had Fusoya, so I was like, I'm not gonna bother because I have nuke, right? But that's definitely something you could have done, and that I thought about at the time already. It's like, if somebody skipped Fusoya, you have an easy time getting a Starveil off here because your characters are pretty slow, right? So, and then yeah, ultimately it would have been really nice to have that, but yeah, I decided on Fusoya, and that didn't quite pan out that well. But you know,
yeah, that was still like a very odd seed. There's a lot of full clears for just, you know, full clearing underground before you found that darkness crystal, full clearing overworld before you went underground.
Yeah,
it's very interesting to see.
Yeah,
it really just wanted you to pick some of the less optimal choices, but you still full cleared the seed in sub 2 hours and played very, very well. So overall, nothing to be ashamed.
No, I'm pretty happy, like I said. I mean, I would probably play it like that again if I would get the same seed again, really. But the only thing really that bothers me a little bit is that I found the Darkness Crystal so late, but then full clearing the moon and all that, I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah, you're only a little bit behind other people, as a lot of people went and full cleared underground before doing that check, so they didn't go and get Darkness Crystal incredibly early.
Yeah, I mean, you see Valvolist and you're like, I probably shouldn't do that. But yeah, I mean, with Fusoya, I could have done that earlier, which like I thought about, but then decided not to do it because I needed to revenge on Odin first. But oh well.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing about Val in that spot is she doesn't have the magic immunity.
That is true, but like, I mean, she can still hurt you.
Yeah,
technically.
She certainly can. Any final thoughts on the seed in the tournament?
Fun tournament. Did not expect to get this far when I entered. That is definitely, because I mean, I haven't played this for since the last tournament, so I was kind of like, well, maybe we'll get to the playoffs, see how it goes from there. So getting to the finals again, amazing. I want to thank everybody that put this tournament on. It was great fun. Everybody that commentated, restreamed, and administrated. You were all great. And I guess I should have gone out while I was at the top, huh? But I'll come back next tourney. Thank you, everybody.
And certainly looking forward to seeing you in future tournaments. So GG, well played.
Thank
Indeed.
you.
Looking forward to seeing you again. It was great having you back for this. It was nice to go and see you here again. And we look forward to seeing you again in the future.
And it looks like Eizan just wrapped up his grind and is now heading into his own Zeromus fight.
Yeah, when you don't have the pressure on to go and get that, when everyone else is finished, you don't have the pressure on to go and get your going in as fast as possible. It's I don't blame Eizan just saying, you know what, I want to stomp this guy into the dirt. Let's go and just completely destroy Zeromus.
Oh, certainly is the case. It's still going to be... Zeromus is not a fight you could ever underestimate. He can do some really nasty things to your party.
Yeah, he does go and look kind of easy sometimes in these races, but he is always a threat. There are a lot of inventive ways to go and fight Zeromus, but there's a lot of ways to just get destroyed by Zeromus.
Big bang into rocks, always a favorite.
Yeah, or that random nuke going out on your healer when you're not prepared for it. That can go and be pretty devastating.
But Eizan, a very, very talented runner of this game. With his levels, party, he shouldn't have any trouble with this Zeromus fight.
Yeah, he's done quite well this tournament. He's going in, I mean, what do you call the person who came in 4th place in the top 4? Top 4.
Very, very true.
And here he is. We'll see if he gets when he gets glued into the special Zeromus sprite. But this has been quite the exciting tournament. This has been a lot of very, very good runners all throughout. Some who played their hardest and got knocked out before qualifying. Some who played their hardest and got knocked out before the round of 16 through the group stages. There's a lot of great runners in this, and I think I speak for everyone saying this was a fantastic event to see, commentate, and watch.
It's been an absolute joy to watch these races. The level across all of it has been absolutely impeccable. There's a lot of amazing runners who didn't even qualify, and then runners in the top 32 who got knocked out, who certainly could have made a case for taking first overall. The level of competition has been absolutely amazing, and then working on all the restreams has been an absolute blast as well.
Oh yeah, and while we're sad to see this tournament come to an end, we are going to be resuming community races, but I believe we're going to have a special announcement with details about those after this race, so don't go and go too far away at the end if you want to hear about that.
And also, we have the finals for the Hope, and tomorrow at 9, I believe, 9 p.m. Eastern.
I do believe you are correct. And Hopen being the Coming Open, where the only qualifying event was not qualifying for this tournament, so we're still going to see a number of good runners in there, and we're going to be pretty excited for that. Ooh, it looks like something went wrong with Cecil as he is just punching rather than being berserked.
That's not what you want to see. I wonder if he was trying to set up with like a samurai bow on him.
I'm not entirely certain. That's well, I didn't go and catch exactly what he was doing with Cecil.
But that is definitely not what you want to see, is a punching Cecil. But Sid getting set up, a little under 1500 damage. It's going to be just kind of a slow fight. Looks like he's getting set up to do some reflect strats, though.
I can't blame him. He's got Palom with Nuke. I mean, if you're not getting damage from your Cecil, it might be worth it just to try and go and use Palom for a reflect kill. He's a very strong character. He goes and does good damage. 8,000 damage from a nuke is nothing to go and sneeze at. Porum still has white. You can go and get some pretty good damage out of this.
This is very, very true. While Palom and Porum don't have the greatest HP pool, they do a lot of work with that white nuke. And it looks like he's also getting Fu in on the action with nuke.
Yeah, these mages, I love having Palom in my party. He's one of those characters who I really feel can carry a seed completely, and with a bit of backup from other casters like Fusoya and Porum, it's very easy to go and get some solid reflect kills, or just do hybrid strats and choose through that 100,000 HP that way.
One other thing to kind of point out was the only Excalibur you could get was from that sealed cave, and I don't think we ever saw a crystal sword.
Not to my knowledge. If there was a crystal sword in the seed, it was probably in a trap chest somewhere.
And you have no reason to ever check those trap chests.
I mean, we did check one for the experience for the Ashura and Dark Knight Cecil fight, but yeah, otherwise those chests aren't really in favor. You might go and be able to get away with sneaking in the Staleman chest, but it's, you're usually doing that check if you really, really desperately want to go and find something.
We just had the Big Bang take out Porum. Not the worst thing ever, but
yeah, we're seeing the difference between Palom and Porum's HP. 100 HP was enough to go and be the difference between living and dying in that Big Bang, though. Palom's not looking in great shape. He needs a heal to come out very quickly, or else he's going to go down to that HP leak.
Fu's a little low on HP. Doesn't even have enough for Cure 4. Probably throw a Cure 3 out, at least to get the party going.
He's throwing a heal out on someone. Cecil critting, and he's not quite hitting a 4-digit damage, but he's also got no weapon equipped functionally, so he's still pretty strong.
I do think he managed to push Zeromus into the second phase, and there's the Cure 4 coming out from Porum. Should make it where Palom does not die.
Yeah, he's going to go and psych with, the wall ran out, so there went Sid. Not quite what you want to see. That's a big reason why people use Star Veils, is that Star Veils will go and last longer than most direct cast walls. But that's still a bit unpleasant. That means that we can't go and cast spells for a little bit, as if we try and cast spells directly on Zeromus, he's going to counter every single one with nuke, and there goes Palom this time. Porum surviving, doing some good dodges with her Magic's evasion.
Yeah, that Big Bang hitting Palom for over 2k. That's the reason why you typically want to have characters that hit over that 2k, usually around 2200 mark, because enough rolls on Big Bang can just wipe out anyone below 2000.
Yeah, that's 2200 is a very safe number. 2400 is an extraordinarily safe number. Sub 2000 is scary. It's very easy to go and just go down to a Big Bang. Here's a random nuke coming out, hitting Cecil, who's probably the safest target to hit for the moment. He's got the most HP, and I think he's going to be able to get recovered with this.
And then, of course, the black hole pulling Cecil out of that berserk state. And it looks like Eizan accidentally hit Sid with the life spell twice, life potion. So, little bit of mismenuing, but is recovering now.
Yep, getting a full heal on the party, but not getting enough healing to go and bring up all the party members. He might need to go and throw out some more healing. I think he's looking for some arrows in his inventory, as Sid is probably out. He's got extra samurai arrows, so he's in decent position for that.
He's got the wall up, and he's going to resume with the nuke.
Let the pain train resume. Going to heal up Cecil.
Yep, gonna heal up Cecil. Looks like he just has Cecil in the background for the moment, and there's the white coming from Porum. So, looks like he's gonna start relying on the reflect strats. Oh, there's the berserk for Cecil.
decided that he's dedicated to. Okay, he went and re-equipped arrows on Cecil. Now Cecil's going to be doing decent damage compared to 4 times as much damage as he was doing previously.
It's a noticeable difference from punching to having a weapon.
Who knew that weapons would provide such a sizable advantage? But Vapormus, I believe, is getting pretty close to going down. These nukes are doing 8,000, White's doing 9,000. He's only, at most had 60,000 when he switched over to this, and is now just taking lots of damage from these spells.
And to answer Stormy in chat, the punches were doing around 500 to 600, and that Big Bang took out Palom, Porum, and Sid. That's not what you want to see.
And there's a nuke coming right away, so this is very scary. If nuke hits Fusoya before this Cure 4 comes out, that could be very bad for this team. Meteor comes out. Who goes down? Well, Fusoya can go in full heal and recover. This is going to be a bit unpleasant.
This is yeah, he is in rocks, but this is a little dicey. Going with the life 2 on Cecil, that's definitely the right choice to make.
And Fu dodging rocks, doing a good job with that. I believe the Meteo is a 1 roll with the magic power they get set to. And because of that, it's very easy for characters with high magic evade to just dodge the damage. Cecil, however, is taking it, but because he's got that higher HP pool, he's going to be able to go and just keep throwing out, just tank some hits now, while Fusoya is running out of MP. He's dangerously low, but he's going to throw out a Berserk to try and just get Cecil to squeak through this last bit of damage.
Let's see, the rock's doing around 900 to 1,000 damage. It can take you out quickly if you're not able to put out the damage, but getting Berserk on Cecil should be able to get through this.
Yeah, right now it just comes down to if you heal up Cecil a bit, get him to survive a few more media, he's probably going to go and get through that.
Queued up the Cure 3. Now, Cure 3 does have a little bit of a delay, but does get it off. And Cecil should have enough HP to get through this fight. And there's the flash. Eizan coming in 4th with a time of 2 hours, 5 minutes, and 40 seconds. Very well played by him.
Indeed. GG Eizan, GG to all of our runners, and this is bringing us to the end of the tournament. Let's see if we can get Eizan in for an interview.
And we are joined by Eizan. GG, well played today.
Thanks. That was kind of bad.
It was a rough steed. Getting through Golbez is never particularly fun in the Ogopogo spot, and there was a lot of ways to go and just get bodied in the seed. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, it wasn't until after I realized I could put a party of status bad status effects to stop it, but that was a little too late.
Yeah, that's not something that's immediately, like, I don't always think of that with myself when I'm playing, so that's always a hard thing to keep in mind with Golbez. It was a very rough spot for Golbez. That magic power, 9,000 damage on a non-elemental weakness lit 3 is always terrifying.
Yeah. I should have actually took longer than that. I just went to Twin Harp thinking no one did it, so.
And it turns out that Golbez was required with the Twin Harp.
Yeah, that was definitely a good pick on your part. How did you feel about the early portions of the seed?
It was alright. I kind of overestimated how much damage Dark Knight Cecil would do up in that spot, so I stayed above a little longer than I should have, but that's how it
Very
goes.
fair. Yeah, it's King Queen Evelyn is definitely a terrifying spot, so it's very easy to go and think, I don't want to rush into the spot unprepared and just not have the healing to deal with this, so I don't blame you for going and being cautious and just looking around more of the overworld. When you got to the underworld, how did you go and choose your route?
I just figured I'd start with the Fey March that had a free boss and it was adamant. I didn't, feel like taking on Odin that quite, so I just went around and I was going to do Pan after Tequila's Tower, which I didn't have. But
Yeah, Sheila one was did give a lightsaber, which I don't know if you ended up picking that up in the end.
No, because the samurai bow and arrows was the best I had.
Right. So that's an unfortunate miss on there. There was an Excalibur behind that Luca key, but that Excalibur was guarded by a wyvern, so I don't know if you particularly cared for that one either.
No.
And then I don't think you did it, but Keinatsu at Bahamut Spot did have a defense sword.
Oh, wow.
So Cecil was actually a little short on his optimal weapons this.
Yeah, and then I never found anything better than a poison axe for Sid. So
You still got through the seed. You made good use of the foo. Palom and Porm did a lot of work for Z. So still, the only thing is did you forget to equip the arrows on Cecil, or did it just run out?
I forgot he only had one Artemis left, and when I used Crystal and Berserked him, it used it. So I should have just started with Samurai first and then switched to the Artemis later.
That makes sense.
Or put it on Sid.
I can see one to maximize your damage with Cecil because he's going to have the higher strength than Sid.
But overall, you still take fourth in the tournament, so played incredibly well across it. Just got hit a little bit with the rando and still made do with what you had. So still very well played on your end.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to try again next year. I improved from 7th last year, so.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid improvement. That's definitely something to look forward to for next year. Do you have any final thoughts on the seed or the tournament in general?
No, that Golbez would have been easier if he just avoided Purim, but
Some people just don't like the little kid white mage.
I mean, I agree with Golbez. The small child is just annoying. You want to get rid of them as soon as possible.
Alright, well, I'm going to head on and join my night. So.
All right, congratulations again on getting 4th place, and GG's. It was a great run and a great seed.
All right, thanks.
And with that brings us to the end of the highway to the Zemus zone. GG, well played to all the runners across the entire tournament. It's been an absolute pleasure to watch everyone run. I love this ending screen that's special just for this ending. So once again, congratulations to Penguin8r for taking 1st place in the tournament. Do you have any final thoughts, Baka?
I think this has been a great tournament. It's been great fun participating, great fun getting into commentary with this. This has been all sorts of wonderful. Thank you again to all of the trackers, all of the restreamers. I know you, Tirasu, has done a fair amount of restreaming for this tournament as well, so thank you for that. This is something that we couldn't do without the people who have been helping. And we're looking forward to going and seeing what comes next.
Very, very true. Looking forward to the community races starting back up really soon. Again, we have our finals for the Hope and tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern on the free Enterprise channel. So definitely come check it out. It is still going to be, while these were runners that didn't quite qualify for the top 32, don't be mistaken. These are still some very, very good runners.
Yeah, it's very easy to have not qualified for the Highway to the Zemus zone, and they've been playing their heart out for this Open. They've gotten a lot better than when they were when they first started, I'm expecting, so it's still going to be a very solid race. Look forward to it.
And with that, I think we're going to send y'all on off. And once again, thank you to RPG Limit Break for letting us host this tournament on here. It's been an absolute pleasure working with you. A special shout out to Smapety, who handled our restream today. Excellent job as always. Of course, Maggie the cat on tracking. Great always working with you. And it's been an absolute blast doing commentary with you, Baka.
It's been very fun doing commentary with you. It was nervous when I first got into this, but you and everyone else made this a lot of fun to get into. So thank you all very much for helping with that.
All right, and once again, GG to everyone, and we will see y'all when the community races start up, and hope to see y'all at the Hope and Finals tomorrow.
Good night, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow.